Your web leads are down by a third this quarter. Your site never changed. The traffic went to Google. Not as a click to you, but as an answer that settled the question before anyone left the results page. The top result now loses more than half its clicks, and the court says Google owns those answers. Who owns the answer your customers read?
Let's get into it.
Nearly 600 years ago, Johannes Gutenberg built a printing press in Mainz and broke the church's grip on knowledge. This month, one company quietly took that grip back. This is the Hamberger Report. I'm Andreas Hamberger, Enterprise Architect, Wellington. On the 10th of July 2026, Google finished a global switch that changed what a search is. Across more than 200 countries, every query now returns a written answer first, generated by its Gemini model. The ranked blue links that carried the open web for 25 years still exist, but they now sit below the answer, and for most searches nobody scrolls that far. Last week this series looked at who controls the price of frontier AI. This week the question is sharper. When the machine stops pointing you at sources and starts speaking for them, the traffic that funded the open web stops moving, and something quieter moves with it. Not just your visitors, but the responsibility for what gets said. That is the real story, and almost nobody has noticed the second half of it yet. Here is the number that should focus the mind. The top organic result loses 58% of its clicks the moment an AI answer sits above it. That is measured, not forecast. The figure comes from Ahrefs, which studied 300,000 keywords. 5 other measurement groups, using different methods, landed in the same range, from search engine land at 61% for informational queries, down to authoritas at 47.5%, 6 independent teams, 1 direction of travel, and the publishers have already priced it in, which tells you this is structural rather than a passing dip. Google search traffic to publishers fell by a third in the year to last November. News executives expect a further 40% drop over 3 years. The chief executive of Condé Nast told his teams to plan as if search traffic will be zero. National Public Radio in the United States called it an extinction-level event for online news, when mastheads that size are modeling a world with no search traffic at all. The argument about whether this is real is over. For 25 years, Google did one job well. It indexed the web and pointed you to the source, and the click that followed was the whole economy of the open web. That was a signpost. What Google now runs is an oracle. It reads the sources, decides what they collectively say, and returns the synthesis as its own prose. The scale is the part that should focus you. These answers now reach 2 billion people every month. There has never been a larger information surface, and it has just changed what it does at the most basic level. The value is moving with the traffic, up to the answer and away from the source. This is the third control point this series has traced. Part 25 was control of access to the model. Part 26 was control of its price. This is control of the answer itself. On Friday the 4th of September, this channel launches its 9-part open source series, Free as in Theft, which takes the fight over who controls the layer up from the software side. Subscribe so it reaches your feed. This is where it stops being a marketing problem. On the 28th of May 2026, a court in Munich ruled that Google's AI answers are Google's own words, not other people's content it merely shows. The reasoning is the important part. A traditional search engine points at other people's pages, so it has long been treated as a neutral middleman and shielded from liability. An AI answer, the court found, generates new statements by combining what others wrote, and only Google can check them, so Google owns them. The judges rejected the defense that users can just verify against the sources, noting that barely 1 in 100 ever click through. Now hold that beside the money. Google's own search revenue grew 17% last quarter, while the amount it pays to publishers underneath it fell 4%. The value is being captured at the answer and no longer flows to the source. This is a preliminary ruling, and Google is appealing, so read it as a strong signal, not settled law. But it is the first court anywhere to say it, and the logic applies to every company that runs an answer engine, not only this one. There is a layer to this that goes past commerce. and it is worth stating plainly. An answer layer that 2 billion people treat as the default source of truth is not just a choke point, it is an influence surface. The European Union's diplomatic service tracks what it calls foreign information manipulation and interference, and that framework assumes a plural information space where a false narrative has to spread across many outlets to take hold. A single synthesis layer changes the arithmetic. Whoever shapes what the oracle says through its training data, its choice of sources, or a compromise of the pipeline shapes the answer that everyone then receives. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization runs a strategic communication center in Riga that studies the information environment as contested ground, and a synthesis layer of this size now sits inside that ground. For allied governments, the integrity of the answer layer is quietly becoming a security property, not a product feature. A country that cannot see how the answer is formed, cannot tell when it has been shaped, and by the time the effect is visible in the public, the moment to check it has already passed. New Zealand feels this early and without a backstop. This year, businesses across Auckland, Christchurch, Wellington, Hamilton, and Tauranga reported sudden drops in leads on websites and campaigns that had not changed. The businesses most exposed are the ones that won customers through informational content. Plumbers, electricians, accountants, the what is and how do I questions that an answer now settles without a click. This is sovereignty at the information layer. New Zealand's online economy runs on a traffic source now controlled by a United States company, shaped by its model choices, its content rules, and, after Munich, its own liability. If Google adjusts how the oracle answers, businesses here feel it with no notice and no domestic recourse. The European Union has its Digital Markets Act, and this month it ordered Google to share search data with rivals from 2027. Australia has a regulator that has taken Google to court and holds it to 94% of the local search market. New Zealand has not activated an equivalent response. That is a statement of fact about where the levers sit, not a prescription for what anyone should do about it. So what do you actually do on Monday? 3 things in order of durability. First, build direct audience infrastructure you own. Email lists, community, first-party channels, anything that reaches people without a platform deciding whether to send them. Second, optimize to be cited, not just to rank. Being named inside an answer now beats being buried under one. So give the answer engine clean, liveable facts and build searches that pull people to you by name. Third, audit your presence by query type. The informational queries are the ones the oracle now eats. The transactional and local ones, where someone wants to buy or book or find you by name, are far less exposed because there the answer is you. Move your way toward the second kind. The web taught billions to find knowledge by choosing among sources. Search is now teaching them to trust one synthesis instead and to do it by default. That is a bigger change than a dip in your analytics, and it is not reversing. So look at your own front door. How much of what brings people to you depends on Google choosing to send them rather than answer for them, and what would you do in the first week? The supply stopped.
That is the Hamburger Report for today. If this was useful, subscribe and hit the like button. It helps more professionals find the channel. You will find links to everything we covered in the description below. I am Andreas Hamberger, and I will see you tomorrow.
Like and subscribe.